You wake before dawn to a handmaiden yanking open your bed curtains. There's no sleeping in. Your day is already planned down to the minute, and none of it involves what you actually want to do. Welcome to your life as a medieval princess, where the crown on your head might as well be a leash. Let's get something straight right away. Being a princess isn't about ball gowns and romance. It's a job, and you were born into it whether you like it or not. From the moment you could walk, you've been groomed for one purpose: to be valuable. Not happy, not fulfilled, valuable. And that value gets measured in alliances, treaties, and how many sons you can produce for whatever kingdom buys you. Your morning starts with getting dressed, which sounds simple until you realize it takes 3 people an hour to make it happen. Layer after layer of linen, wool, and silk. A dress so heavy you'll have back problems by 30. Your hair gets braided and pinned until your scalp aches, and that's before the jewelry, which isn't pretty decoration. It's a walking billboard announcing your father's wealth and power. Breakfast happens in near silence. You're not eating for pleasure. You're performing. Every movement gets watched and judged. Hold your goblet wrong, the visiting duchess notices. Laugh too loudly, suddenly you're unmarriageable. The food itself is fine if you enjoy the same roasted meat and bread every single day. Variety isn't really a thing yet. After breakfast comes the endless parade of lessons. You're learning French, Latin, maybe some Italian if your family has ambitions. You practice needlework for hours because apparently your ability to embroider a falcon determines your worth as a human being. Music lessons follow. Dancing lessons after that. Everything designed to make you the perfect ornament for some foreign court. Here's what nobody tells you about medieval princess life. You have zero privacy. None. Handmaidens follow you everywhere, including the bathroom. Your letters get read before you send them. Your conversations get reported back to your father. That servant who seems friendly, she's probably spying. Everyone's always watching, always listening, always ready to turn your smallest mistake into a scandal. Lunch brings more performance, more sitting straight, more careful chewing, more pretending you care about whatever boring noble is visiting to assess whether you'd make a suitable bride for his equally boring son. You're 13, by the way. He's 37. Nobody sees a problem with this. The afternoon offers a brief window of freedom, but even that comes with rules. You can walk in the garden, but only with an escort. You can read, but only approved texts. Want to ride a horse? Better side saddle, and don't go too fast, and definitely don't enjoy it too much because God forbid you look happy doing something physical. Evening means dinner, which is basically lunch but longer and with more people judging you. Then comes the worst part of your day, the part that makes everything else feel like practice. Because after dinner, your father summons you to his chamber to discuss your future. And by discuss, I mean he's decided which kingdom you're getting shipped off to. But before we get to that conversation and what it actually means for the rest of your existence, you need to understand something crucial about how medieval royal marriages actually worked. Medieval royal marriages weren't about love. They were international treaties wrapped in a wedding ceremony. You were currency, plain and simple. A bargaining chip to secure peace, land, or military alliances. And your father just decided which kingdom gets to cash you in. The conversation starts with him barely looking at you. He's reviewing documents, sealing letters, treating you like another item on his administrative checklist. Then he tells you you're marrying the Duke of wherever, or the prince of some kingdom you've never heard of. You leave in 3 weeks. You don't get to ask questions. You don't get to protest. You definitely don't get to say no. Your opinion on spending the rest of your life with a complete stranger in a foreign country is so irrelevant that bringing it up would be laughable. This is duty. This is what you were born for. Your feelings about it matter exactly as much as a horse's feelings about being sold. Those 3 weeks pass in a blur of preparation. More fittings, more lessons, crash courses in your new country's customs, language, politics. They're packing your entire life into trunks, except they're not really packing your life. They're packing the things that represent your father's wealth. You're not taking your favorite books or childhood toys. You're taking dowry items, proof of value. Then comes departure day. Your mother might cry, your siblings might wave. Your father gives you a brief, formal blessing that feels more like a business transaction closing than a goodbye. And then you're on a horse, or in a carriage, leaving the only home you've ever known for a castle in a foreign land where nobody speaks your language and everyone views you as an outsider. The journey takes weeks, months sometimes. You're sleeping in strange castles, eating unfamiliar food, surrounded by guards who treat you like precious cargo rather than a person. Because that's what you are now, a package being delivered. When you finally arrive, you meet your husband for the first time at the wedding rehearsal. Maybe he's kind, more likely he's indifferent. Occasionally he's cruel. Doesn't matter, you're marrying him anyway. The wedding happens in a language you barely understand, binding you legally to a man you've known for 3 days. Your wedding night isn't romantic, it's a political obligation with witnesses waiting outside to confirm consummation. Because nothing says fairy tale like having your most intimate moment treated as a contractual requirement that needs verification. And then comes the real nightmare. You're expected to produce heirs immediately. If you don't get pregnant fast enough, you're failing. If you have daughters instead of sons, you're failing. If you miscarry, which happens constantly given medieval medicine, you're failing. Your entire worth gets reduced to your uterus and its productivity. This is the reality that nobody mentions when they romanticize medieval royalty. No happy endings, no true love. Just duty, isolation, and the constant pressure to justify your existence by producing the right kind of children. That's the actual life of a medieval princess. Royal marriages were brutal contracts disguised as ceremonies. Your value wasn't measured in intelligence, kindness, or capability. It came down to bloodline and fertility. That's it. So when people romanticize medieval princesses, they're fantasizing about a version that never existed. The real experience was closer to being high-class livestock than living a fairy tale. You were bred, traded, and evaluated based on your ability to produce the right offspring for political gain. Every decision was made for you. Every relationship was transactional. Every moment was performance. The crown wasn't a symbol of power. It was a shackle decorated with jewels. And here's the worst part. You couldn't even complain about it. Expressing unhappiness with your arranged marriage meant you were ungrateful, disobedient, potentially even treasonous. You were supposed to smile through the isolation, the pressure, the complete erasure of your autonomy. Because that's what good princesses did. The fairy tales got it backwards. There was no happily ever after waiting at the end. There was just more duty, more pressure, and the hope that maybe your daughters would face something slightly less suffocating. Though realistically, they'd end up in the exact same position you're in now, waiting for some king in some distant castle to decide their fate without asking what they wanted. That's the real medieval princess experience. No magic, no rescue, just survival in a gilded cage that everyone pretends is a palace.